Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for High Velocity Radio.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of High Velocity Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today on the show, we have Andrew Bornos with Cloud Gaia. Welcome, Andrew.
Hi, Lee. Thank you for having me on the show. Nice to hear you.
Well, I'm excited to learn about what you're up to. Tell us a little bit about Cloud Gaia. How are you serving folks?
Yeah, so we're a what's called Salesforce.com consulting partner. We're a professional services firm based in Latin America, largely in Argentina, but in other countries as well, with a long history of relationship with the software as a service company called Salesforce.com. So we help other companies who license Salesforce to implement Salesforce for their various divisions and needs around the globe. We work in the enterprise space largely, but for mid-sized firms as well. So that's what we do.
So now, what was the kind of the history of the company? How did it come about? People were using Salesforce and finding that they couldn't kind of wring out all the value, and they needed help doing that. Yeah,
as software firms get larger, and particularly into the enterprise space, like Salesforce did, maybe 6, 7 years into its existence, it started to see that it needed a more robust support system of consultants. And they began to engage the large consulting community, the Accentures of the world and PricewaterhouseCoopers and Deloitte Digital and all those huge firms that have massive. The most didn't know this, right? Those firms came out of the tax preparation business, but they have become much larger and more profitable in providing professional services to help their clients, whether it's Coca-Cola or General Motors or what have you, implement various software technologies. So interestingly, the founder of Salesforce.com, Mark Benioff, worked for Oracle Corporation and was senior enough that the first check written to start Salesforce.com was by Larry Ellison, who's the founder of Oracle. Now Salesforce has become this nearly $27 billion a year in revenue firm, 23 plus years in the making. And, I was a client of Salesforce.com's for a couple of companies from the early days, as were the founders of Cloud Gaia. And so we go way back, well over 15, closer to 20 years of experience as clients of Salesforce. And, when you license this technology, it became more and more flexible. And with that comes complexity. And with that, you sort of have to look to some experts to become a help to your company in implementing and broadening the reach and the implementation of this incredible tool that lives in the cloud. So the founders of Cloud Gaia, like me, go way back, and we're not only clients, but we're implementing Salesforce at companies, that we worked for, and began to see the great potential of becoming a Salesforce partner, a consulting partner. And that's what we did with Cloud Gaia about 6 years ago. But the firm's history goes back, like I said, well over 15 years.
And going back into that history and kind of having the roots in Oracle, Oracle has a robust ecosystem of consultants and people helping the people who are using Oracle get the most value out of Oracle. So it kind of makes logical sense now that you explain the history that Salesforce would kind of follow a similar path.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And, they did a study about 3 years ago, Salesforce, that showed that for every dollar a client spends on investing in the license cost of licensing Salesforce, and again, they're, approaching 27 billion or more now in revenue. For every dollar spent on that, upwards of $6 are spent with consulting firms in implementing and customizing and enhancing and getting, a more broad, robust deployment of Salesforce across all their different divisions and needs. And Salesforce has become this great platform in the cloud that you can quickly develop software applications for every department, from legal compliance to services to sales to operations, you name it. And it's very robust in extending your reach with your own customers. So if you have channel partners or referral partners, or you have vendors that are supplying you, particular raw materials to make your product and or service. You can extend, and people have been, and companies have been extending Salesforce to work not only internally within their own company, but with those channel partners, with those vendors. It's an exciting space, and it's been a heck of a ride, and it continues. Salesforce is growing like a weed, and as a consequence, there's been a great capacity constraint in the market for skilled Salesforce professional service resources to help these companies in all their needs. So it's a good problem to have. We've got a lot of demand, and there's never quite enough people to fulfill the demand.
Now, is your work primarily folks who are veteran Salesforce users who are maybe used, either tried to attack this internally and realize that they don't have the team on board internally and they have to kind of outsource? Or is it something that these are brand new Salesforce people and they didn't realize how complex it was going to be?
It's a bit of a mix. Often that can happen, but as the technology's matured, particularly in the enterprise space, the large corporate space, the folks that run these Salesforce programs, they know the game, right? And they know that there's no way I'm going to hire my own internal team exclusively to implement Salesforce. I'm going to ramp up and build and implement. And then as I, go into more of that maintenance mode and supporting the application, I can ramp down on the consultants. But the more experienced folks know that they're going to need consultants. So what happens is often there'll be a joint, almost, pursuit, if you will, if it's a brand new client to Salesforce, between a consultancy and the Salesforce account executive or executives who are responsible for selling Salesforce licenses. Often they'll team up with a consultant like us to help scope, estimate, build the approach, understand the concepts, help the company understand the concepts, and even often, create proposals that would allow those senior executives to present to the C-level and the board of directors at these companies. Hey, this is what Salesforce is. This is what it can do for us. Here's the proposal from Salesforce as well as from the consulting firm, so that we know the full total cost of ownership of Salesforce, not just the licensing cost, but the investment we need to make with consultants to help implement it. And, often it involves helping them calculate the return on investment and the why behind the what. Like, why are we doing this? Are we going to make money into doing this? And that's ultimately our job, is to help them get a high return on investment on their investment in Salesforce.
Now, you mentioned that a lot of your work's at the enterprise level. Is there certain industries or niches that you're working with more than others, or is this kind of industry agnostic because it seems more and more folks are gravitating towards Salesforce?
Yeah, certainly Salesforce is agnostic. They're in every industry and sub-industry and globally around the world. Our experience just, I think serendipitously, was historically in retail, consumer packaged goods, as well as finance and manufacturing and energy. Now, we have a smattering of customers in different industries, some of them being Salesforce itself. We actually do some development work for Salesforce when they have a need that perhaps they're just behind on a release and they need some more people. But yeah, that's been our experience: financial services, manufacturing and energy, and consumer packaged goods and retail. But Salesforce is applicable in every industry, and when there's a need for us to step up and help implement in a different industry, we certainly do, and we're always happy to do so.
Now, when you're working with a new client, what is typically that kind of part of the transformation that you're helping them achieve? Because you mentioned that they're already probably veterans in Salesforce. They've already kind of been there, done this. So how are you coming in, and what is the pain that they're having where Cloud Gaia is the solution?
And that's a great question. Digital business transformation is doing just that. It's transforming businesses, and particularly at a greater pace post-COVID, where there was a need for not only e-commerce solutions between the company, their product, and the people who are, the companies and people who are purchasing products through through mobile enabled and highly, responsive e-commerce solutions. But there was also a need very quickly to ramp up remote workers, where people are staying at home during these, troubled times. And Salesforce was full bore a part of all that. And as a consequence, we ourselves, right? Like I said, we have majority of our folks are Latin America based. That's our value proposition, bringing Latin America, good time zone based resources to the North American market, for, a less expensive price, but at a premium service. But we ourselves had to do that. We had to shift our employees to their homes and make sure that we were connecting like you and I are connecting, through the internet today. So, there's been this great shift that has increased in velocity and in need to a digital world, and Salesforce is a very big part of that. And we're always talking about that with our clients. Sometimes it's as simple as, we're not using Salesforce at all, and we need some workflow automation so that, party A understands what party B is doing, and there's these alerts and notifications that keep us all on the same page, all the way to, we're this like brick and mortar type of organization historically, and we need to digitize our business to some degree or to fully, and transform our business into the modern, 21st digital age. And Salesforce is a big component of doing that with many, many clients around the world. And as such, we have to be able to understand those things, draw out the ultimate goals that the C-level of these companies have, and help the mid-level managers that are running these programs translate those strategic goals into bite-sized chunks and achievable application development, delivery, and support. So it's been an exciting time.
Now, how do you help the clients kind of get out of their own way? Because a lot of times they think like, oh, I'm investing in this solution, so check that box, I'm good. And then when it drills down to the actual people who are the ones that are using it, it's like, oh, great, here's one more thing I have to deal with. Here's one more thing that's taking me away from what they're really paying me for. And, and they don't really fully embrace it. And they look at it as a hindrance rather than a tool that's going to help them and the company.
That's such a great, insightful question. It really comes down to UX, what they call user experience. And you want to make sure that you get a high adoption rate from your internal users early, so that you have success early, and that builds momentum into a sustained successful program. So a focus on user adoption and the, sort of with them, what's in it for me, right? If we're dealing with a service organization and you have these contact center agents that are going to be, receiving inbound phone calls, and their computer screen pops with the right information, and it's got these multiple sections to the screen, and they're seeing the history of what that client has said and done with them, what open ticket or case they're working on now, the online transactions, the instant message chat history, and the transcripts of that. If all that is like bang right in front of that service agent, that service agent's going to have what we hope folks need to have using technology, which is that wow moment. Like, wow, holy mackerel. Like we were, I was swiveling my chair between 3 different systems to service our clients. Now it's, one single pane of glass. I see what I need to see to help the client, and I resolve their issue more quickly, more efficiently. And it was easier for me as an agent, and it was a great experience, a user experience, a UX for the client. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. If, you're going from current state to future state, that future state better be, at least envisioned to be, a higher level of experience, better, quicker, faster, more efficient, and an enjoyable experience, which often we can achieve the opposite with technology. So you really got to focus on that UX.
And then can you share a story of maybe a client that you work with that was having a challenge? Maybe explain the challenge they were having. Obviously, don't name the name of the company, but explain the challenge that they were having, where when they engaged your team, they were able to maybe get to a new level that they didn't even imagine was possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm thinking of one. I happen to live in Connecticut, and there's a company here in Connecticut that's doing gangbusters around the world at an increasing pace. And, they had licensed Salesforce a number of years ago and really didn't have a consulting partner to implement it. And as such, as often can be the case, it sort of fell a little flat. They didn't have the, what they thought they needed right away, which were, they call them KPIs, key performance indicators, like a dashboard of reports that show the sales organization and the sales managers, as well as the salespeople, how they're doing versus their quota, what they're selling, when they're selling it, are they on track, are they off track? That's sort of the standard 101 concept that, at least on the sales organization side, they can have about what Salesforce is. Well, as soon as we started to engage with them, they saw the potential for bringing in their customers into this platform. Because after all, when you think about Salesforce or any cloud solution, you're literally launching a web browser and you're logging into your software. Well, we know that our customers do that too. So why can't they see what we permission them to see and do what we permission them to do into our Salesforce org, so that we're collaborating with our customers? And next thing you know, this company began to see how not only is this about our own internal statistics about what we're doing with our customers, but we can bring our customers in through a portal product that Salesforce has called Experience Cloud. It used to be called Communities. They rebranded it, I think, very well, talking about user experience. And we showed them how not only sales, but now we're spinning up Service Cloud. Cloud is the code word for Salesforce's products, right? So they had Sales Cloud. Now they're diving into Service Cloud, and we're going to get their service organization up and running on Salesforce. And now the vision is, the third step is bring their customers in through a portal so that they can collaborate around this information, whether it's pre-sales or sales or post-service support. And in so doing, you've got this seamless end-to-end ecosystem that's very exciting, that really, and sometimes 1 + 1 = 3, sometimes it equals 30, where holy mackerel, C-level sees, light bulbs begin to go off and flashes of light, like, wait a minute, that's a whole new approach to the way we are doing business. And in so doing, it's sometimes, and in this case with this company, is opening up their mind to the potential of tapping entire new markets, and in some ways working with their customers to develop new and better products in a much more collaborative, sort of high-tech, high-touch approach that in real time brings these ideas to the fore, and again, lights those light bulbs up, where you're not only doing something that's embracing the future, but you're energizing your company. Your people are excited to come to work. They're working with their customers in a more collaborative way. And that's when it's not just digital business transformation. It's sort of people transformation, right? The art of the possible becomes real, and people get excited about the company that they're working for, working with, the customers that they're working with. And that's when really it's very rewarding for us, because it's extremely exciting to go from, we're just going to get a dashboard up and running, and now we're talking about, really transformative stuff. And what a pleasure that is. And Salesforce enables a lot of that to happen. And, I think that's one of the reasons, their secret sauce is that, they get people energized. After all, a company is a collection of people. And if you love your work and enjoy what you're doing, and you're excited about the future, and the technology can help you do that, then that's just great stuff. And that's win-win-win all around.
Well, it's exciting that a firm like yours kind of has these working partnerships with Salesforce, and then your clients then could leverage those partnerships for themselves. And everybody wins when you have that sense of community, and everybody's kind of reading off the same song book, that everybody is speaking the same language. It really helps with communication. It helps with clarity, and these kind of partnerships, I think, could take a company to a new level if they really understand how to leverage it. And to have a partner like your team, it seems like that helps kind of smooth out that learning curve and help them achieve success a lot faster.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's often about just broadening the horizon, having conversations where you can ideate and talk about, like I said before, the art of the possible, and in so doing, connect, the bottom up daily work that's being done, creating requirements and user stories and working in, project management software to retire points on sprints and all that stuff that we talk about every day in the consulting business. And then, talk more broadly about where's the world going? What is it that we really are? And what is it that we do? And what do our customers want from us? And how do we get to a level where, what we imagined our business is something entirely, or at least partially different in a much better way. And those are and then if we can connect the top down strategic, art of the possible conversations with that bottom up work being done every day and connect the two in the middle, that's when magic happens. And it's a lot of fun when it does.
Now, can you maybe share some advice for folks that maybe have Salesforce and aren't kind of wringing out the value that they could? Is there some low-hanging fruit that they could be doing today? Is there some action that they could be taking today, outside of calling your team, but just something that they can do that's in their control that can help them?
Yeah, I'd say there's two things in the same vein of that bottom up and top down. From the bottom up approach, Salesforce has this health check that you can initiate as a Salesforce administrator of your Salesforce org, and you're logged into the admin side of the system. You can trigger this health check, and it gives you all of these great sort of statistics and graphics and insights into how well, or perhaps how much better you can be utilizing everything that you've licensed from Salesforce. So I'd say from the sort of granular level, start there, get a health check. That's something you can review with your Salesforce account executive and or your consulting partner. If you don't have one, like you said, Lee, one can always reach out to someone like us. And then from the top down, take a day or 2 days, take a weekend, and whether you're doing the whole sort of like, go out in the woods and the dude ranch and, ideating and getting excited about, and rope climbing and all that, like people do to sort of broaden their thoughts about business, or, just go have a cup of coffee with a colleague or two, or by yourself, and think about the most admired companies that you have in your mind, and or the highest technology, the sort of the companies that deliver a real high tech approach, but that you enjoyed. It was high touch. And think about those businesses more than your own. Think about those businesses, talk about them, talk about what it is that makes those businesses successful, or what it is that you truly enjoy about it. And don't stop with just the first level. When you say, well, why? Ask your colleagues or yourself, why is it that I feel that way? And then ask why once more. Go at least 3 levels deep on the why. Why is it that I felt that way about, the first level of thought about that company? And then why is it that I feel that way or conclude these things about the second level? Ask yourself why at least 3 times. What that does is it allows you to begin to think strategically from that top down. And in so doing, that's when potentially light bulbs can go off and you can parallel it to your own business. And in so doing, you can do what you have to do to be successful in delivering cloud-based applications. You have to have that top-down strategy, and you have to have a bottom-up, tactical approach with a partner or with a team that's done it before. You do those 2 things together, and like I said, you meet in the middle, and that's where the magic happens.
Well, congratulations on all the success, Andrew. If there's somebody out there that wants to learn more about your firm and how you can help them get the most out of, this big chunk of software that they have invested in, what's the website for you guys?
We're cloudgaia.com, cloudgaia.com. There's a contact us form, and we'll be happy to get back to you if there's something we can do for you. And boy, this has been a lot of fun, Lee. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, thank you for being a guest, and thank you for sharing your story. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on High Velocity Radio.